In this session what we're going to do is a Carolyn Saxby inspired composition. So for this activity you will need some prints that you've created. You should have done these in the last lesson. You will need some pins so that we can position things in place. You will need a background and some different strips of fabric. Okay, so the first thing that we'll do is decide where our prints are going to go. And remember, we're going to sew these into place. We're going to use the technique applique. So you can't have the print too close to the wood, otherwise the needle won't be able to come through. So if you lift it up slightly, you'll be able to see the wood underneath. So I'm not going to position it too close to that. So I think my seahorse, I'm quite happy with that going there. And maybe my starfish there. I'm not going to pin them into place yet because I'm just going to have a little look to see what I want the sea to look like. So for this composition I'm going to be inspired by Carolyn Saxby's seascapes that she does. So do I want that to overlap there? So at this point what you're doing is just figuring out what your composition is going to look like. I'm quite happy with the seahorse set behind the waves and the starfish. I think I want that overlap in the wave. So I'm going to start off with white at the top of mine. I'm then going to use some of my tie-dye pieces. When I put them down, I don't want them perfectly in line because I think that's a little bit boring. And when I do pin them into place, I think what I'm going to do is just sort of ruche the sea up a little bit like that so it looks like it's waves again. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with my composition so far. So before I start putting some more waves into place, I'm going to use my pins just to hold everything in place really. So when you're pinning things in place, you do have to be careful because they are quite sharp. I'm just going to go through the fabric, back up and then back down. I want the pin pointing down so that I'm not going to cut myself in it. So now that seahorse is in place, I'll zoom in on the next one so that you can see a little bit better how I do this. So the next thing, I'm going to get the waves in place. So I'll zoom in, I'll make sure that they're nice and straight. Okay, I'll zoom right in now. So to hold this in place, I'm going to go through the fabric, back up. It does get trickier once the fabrics get thicker. And then once it's back up, so I've gone through, it's back up, and then I'm going to push it back down again so that I'm not catching my fingers on that. So all of the sharp bits are going to be underneath the hoop. So there, it's just holding it in place. So if I lift it up, it's not going to come away, so my composition does stay in place. I'm just going to move that for a second while I get the next pin in place. So I'm going to go through just a tiny bit, then I'm going to come through, up, so you can see the needle coming up, and then I'm going to go back down again. So there we go, it's back down. So now that's held in place, it's not going to slip anywhere. And now I can position my starfish the way that I want it. So I think I'm quite happy with that. So I'll show you one more time. I think the trickiest thing is making sure that I'm on camera while I'm doing this. So going down, it should come back up and through, and then I'm going to push it down again. Don't want to damage the print though. And there we go, it's gone back down. So it's just holding it in place and it's not going to come away. So this is how you can start your compositions. Composition means the way that something's laid out on the canvas. So I'm quite happy with that, and I'm going to keep plodding on it, and I will show you how to scrunch bits up so that when you sew it, it's going to stay in the place that it's going to stay how you've placed it, okay? I'm just going to see what that looks like with two pieces together. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I do want it to go right up to the top of that wave. So through, up and down. So it should puncture the fabric 3 times. A safer way of doing this, I suppose, you could try using Pritt stick. I'm not sure how well that works, but you could experiment with that. I know these would definitely stick down with Pritt stick. But the only thing is, if you decide you don't like your composition and you try to take it apart, you're going to have nasty glue marks on the fabric. I'm quite happy with that. And then maybe the C settles there, goes a bit straighter and scrunches over here. I think where it does get most tricky is right in the middle, and as I do not want you to cut yourself, I'm going to give it a try with the glue. Which does work really well. So if you're pretty confident on something, and I did really like how my composition was there, then you can use the glue. Oh, I think that looks lovely. So there's certain reasons why you wouldn't use the glue, and that would be if, for example, you were making a garment. You're not going to want to use glue on that. You're going to want to use the pins to hold things in place. So I'm just using some more offcuts, which are just spare. There we go. So now I can start to incorporate more fabrics. So this royal. You can twist them, you can turn them. Some fabrics aren't going to work with a Pritt stick, and I can tell that this one's not, so I am going to make sure I pin this one. And if you do get into a situation where you feel like it's really difficult to put that pin in and you don't want to cut yourself, please do go see me and I will do it for you.